video, we will look at different techniques that you have probably never heard of before that can help you get your dream score in the IELTS speaking exam. So let's begin. Now, I've talked about many different strategies that you can use to help you get your desired score in the speaking exam. But the strategies that we will look at in this video, they are very easy to do. So let's get started with the first strategy, and that is don't worry about the examiner's opinion. Now, it is very common to overanalyze the body language of the examiner, to look at them and think, oh, they're not nodding their head, so maybe they disagree with me, or maybe they don't like what I'm saying. Or you might have another 100 questions in your mind. But the main thing here is don't worry about the examiner's opinion. For example, if the examiner stops you in the middle of your answer, don't think, oh no, the examiner doesn't like what I'm saying, or don't think that, oh, this was not a good answer because the examiner stops you. The examiner might just stop you because they need to stick to their time schedule because they have so many exams to go through. It has nothing to do with if you are doing good or bad. So try to ignore over-analyzing the body language of the examiner. And now let's move on to the second thing that you can do. Don't overanalyze the body language of the examiner. Okay, now when we are preparing for the speaking exam, try not to memorize your answers. Don't focus on memorizing something and trying to give the perfect answer. And the reason why we should avoid trying to memorize our answers and trying to make them sound perfect is because this exam, the speaking exam, you want to have a natural conversation, okay? You want to speak naturally. In fact, part one of the speaking exam is all to do with questions that will make you feel more comfortable and relaxed. And that's what we're aiming for throughout the whole exam. So try not to memorize any answers and instead practice by answering general questions. And also remember that it is easier for you to not memorize answers than it is for you to take time and memorize answers. So take the easy option in this case. Don't memorize answers. Let's look at the third thing that we can do, which is don't over-agree with the examiner, especially if you have differing opinions. So again, many students, they think that if they agree with the examiner, it will make the examiner like them or will make the examiner give them a higher mark. But the focus of this exam is to speak naturally, and you won't get extra marks for agreeing with the examiner. In fact, if you disagree, especially if you genuinely disagree, it will give you more things to talk about. And remember that these small things that we're focusing on, they don't get you extra marks. For example, the body language that we spoke about, or agreeing with somebody, they don't get you extra marks in the speaking exam. In the exam, you will be assessed on only these 4 things: fluency, vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. Okay, now I can make a whole separate video about these 4 topics and go into great detail about them, okay? But those are the only 4 things that you will be assessed by. The examiner does not care about all these small things that you might be thinking of. So just focus on these. In fact, I will leave a link in the description below of the assessment sheet that the examiner uses when they mark your speaking exam. You don't need to focus on anything else but this one document, okay? If they don't use this document, it will be something very similar. And now let's move on to the next point, which is don't fake a native accent. Again, as I mentioned before, you will only be marked on these 4 sections that we just spoke about. So that means you won't get extra marks for speaking in a British accent or an American accent. Speaking in a specific accent does not give you more marks. No accent is better than any other accent. Accents just represent which part of the world you are from. That is it, okay? So just speak in your normal accent. And let's move on to the 5th thing which you should avoid, and that is to avoid using big words, especially if you don't understand them. So let me explain this in a bit of detail because I don't want to cause any confusion. So there's nothing wrong with using big words, okay? The problem occurs when you use big words and you don't understand the meaning of them. And this happens a lot, unfortunately. Do not use a big word, or any word actually, that you don't understand 100%, okay? So that's the first point. The second point is, don't try to use big words too frequently. This is another thing that happens too often with students. They think that if you constantly use big words, it'll give you more chance to get higher marks. But this is not natural in a conversation especially. So to summarize, it's okay if you use big words every now and then, but you should only use them if you understand the meaning. And if you've reached this far in the video, thank you very much. If you liked the video, then like the video. And if you're new here, my name is Brick. I'm a qualified English teacher and an IELTS trainer from the UK. And on this channel, we cover everything IELTS related. So if this is something that you're interested in, consider subscribing. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.